Nothing like a Chris sun drop.
Sponsors. Send this stuff.
We started.
Yeah, it's fine.
It was like at the very beginning.
Doesn't matter.
Do it.
All right, so
I stand by what I said.
Yeah.
this was a shitty week for wide receivers in the NFL.
Oh, yeah.
We had, how many did we lose? We lost 2 in one game. No, 2 in 2 games. Because technically Deebo Samuel went out.
Debo's ill with pneumonia.
So
He'll be back
you
in a
lost
week.
Deebo and Ayuk in that game. You lost Mike Evans and Chris Godwin in their game.
Mm-hmm.
You also lost, there was another wide receiver. I'm trying to think who it was that got hurt. Yeah, it was the defensive back.
Yes. Yeah, Watson. At first I thought it was Justin Watson. But apparently you can have multiple Watsons.
Yeah. I feel like there is a wide receiver we're missing, though, that did get hurt, too, that's going to be out for a while. Because Mike Evans, we knew when he went down.
Is there another hammy that I'm mistakenly forgetting?
I feel like there was, but I can't think of who it is right now.
Not sure.
I mean, the 4 that went down were
the big ones are the season-ending enders of Chris Godwin and Brandon Ayuk. Now, and then, the Deshaun Watson deal.
Yeah, that's true.
That's pretty big. We'll get into that for sure.
So who do you got for fantasy pickups for this week?
Well, for fantasy pickups, you definitely will go after McMillan. He was the number 3 in Tampa Bay, and now that 1 and 2 are going to be out for a long time and the rest of the year, he's probably the surefire number 1 until the only okay thing that happened to Tampa Bay was that it happened before the trade deadline. So now they're going to go out and grab them somebody. And as it just came out today, Cooper Kupp is available for a second-round pick.
Which, with all these wide receivers, we still got who out there. Free agency.
Yeah, but again, it's what are you searching for? There hasn't been a lot of slot receivers that have been going down.
I mean,
you're wanting someone that's
Godwin spot.
And it's possible, but you want someone that sets the edge. I see definitely one of these teams that lost out. Now, there's no way the Rams are going to trade Kupp to San Fran unless they're giving up a 1, and that's not going to happen. So most likely, I could definitely see Tampa Bay picking up the phone and calling because the team's on the right track. They're putting up points. Baker's making throws. They're just not healthy right now. So McMillan is a good pickup for this week for sure. And then you revert to San Francisco, Brandon Ayuk being hurt. If you didn't have Juwan Jennings already, if he's still available in some leagues and people didn't stash him, that's who I'd pick up next. He's next man up. Sure enough, that's what will be happening. Yeah, fantasy-wise, a few others. Another one I like for a sneaky start is Njoku. He's back in Cleveland. Now that Deshaun Watson's hurt, probably get a different look on the passing game. It's going to open it up, and Chubb is back as well. So people that have been holding on to him for 6 to 7 weeks, he's back. Hopefully he stays healthy, and hopefully that line actually does something for him. But those are my sneaky starts. Sit-wise, I got a few. Tony Pollard. He's versing Detroit. They're number 2 versus running backs. And let's be honest, Tennessee's going to be down in that fight. So they're going to be throwing the ball more, which means more Tajay Spears. That's pretty obvious. Number 2, Anthony Richardson. Now he's versing Houston. That's who he played at the first of the year. He had a great game versus them. But it's also the first game of the year. Everyone's trying to figure themselves out. And he has not gone into double digits since that first game. Even so, I got to say no to him. And then finally, Calvin Ridley. He's been under 7 points all but once. So, and again, it's Tennessee. They just haven't been able to figure it out. The quarterback situation. Does Will Levis come back because they didn't like what they saw from Mason? Who's to know? And then I got a few risky picks. I don't like Kamara versus the Chargers. He versed Denver last week and went for 5 points, and it's basically the same scenario. You're dealing with not having Derek Carr at quarterback, so Spencer Rattler, is he going to stay in? Is it that Joe Herring kid that jumps in? Who knows? But it's just not a good look for Kamara versus the Chargers, who are really good at stopping the run. Another one I don't like, Malik Neighbors versus Pitt. Pittsburgh held Adams to very minimal yardage, and that's with Garrett Wilson being on the other side. Malik Neighbors doesn't have that. Garrett Wilson on his other side, so he's going to be getting pretty much double covered the entire way. knowing that that's all the Giants have. And then finally, Jackson Smith and Jigba, he's kind of risky just because if DK doesn't play, he's going to be the main guy, but Buffalo is number 9 versus wide receivers. So his potential to play really all depends on DK, whether he plays or not. And then in regards to my roster that I love, like the guys who need to start, play him, completely don't even think about it. Love Jordan Love versus Jacksonville. He's thrown for 2+ touchdowns in every game this year. That's not going to change this week. And then Bijan, he's versus Tampa Bay, who just let Derrick Henry run all over him, and it's going to probably be the same little spiel here. Plus, Bijan will actually make catches. Not to say, I mean, Derrick caught a touchdown, so not saying he can't do it,
To be
but
fair, who hasn't Derrick Henry ran all over?
exactly, yeah. But they held him in check until the fourth quarter, but it really showed that.
Well, he got the 80-yard run in the third quarter, didn't he?
Nah, I think it was fourth.
I think it was
Yeah, because they just kept saying like he's got the most fourth quarter yards since he came into the league, and it's by like a lot.
I mean, I would have loved to see him get that 200-yard game out of the way to get the record because, I mean, they screwed the pooch with him against Dallas. And he was, 26
he
yards?
needed a lot more yards this game. He needed like an extra like 31. And
Or maybe it was, because he finished with 164 rushing yards. I think.
Yeah,
He got
something
on
like that.
one run in the last series. But
I know.
Yeah, I know.
And then I like Breece Hall. He's coming off 2 straight 20-point games, and he's versus New England, who is 30th in the League of Fantasy versus running back. So definitely play him. For wide receiver-wise, I love Chase. He's number 1 fantasy wide receiver, and he's versus Philly, who's 26 against fantasy wide receivers. So, and it might be a little bit of a shootout type situation.
I'm hoping so.
And then Jeff.
I'm hoping so, too, because I got to beat Lane for you.
Yeah, that'd be nice. And then Jefferson, he's double digits every game he's played in, and he's versus the Rams that love to give up the passing yards. My tight end wise, it's no surprise. Again, it's Brock Bowers. He's really the only option there.
Well, Hunter Henry's went for 100 yards 3 times this season?
But there's just something about Brock Bowers. Even though they know he's there, you can't cover him. Yeah, you feed him the ball. And they're versus Kansas City, who's 32nd versus tight ends. And let's be honest, Vegas will be down, so they will be throwing.
Well, yeah, I would expect it.
Yeah.
Like the Kansas City defense is, you got to play.
Exactly. And then for defense-wise, I have the Steelers versus the Giants. And Giants only put up 3 versus Philly. And Philly's defense is nowhere near what Pitt's is. And Pittsburgh is going to want that defense to establish it. So I say that. And then lastly,
Denver over Carolina? You didn't want that defense? Like the number 1 fantasy defense against the worst offense?
The matchup here seemed more relevant, to be honest with you. Because Carolina still has playmakers. Carolina can still put points up on you. Giants haven't really put up, I think, a touchdown. Yeah, but again.
If they end up having to play Bryce Young because of that.
They play Bryce Young, then yes, their stats are going to jump.
Serious, but you never know.
Exactly.
You might sit out of the game.
And then lastly, for my kicker, I got to go with McLaughlin for Tampa Bay. They lost a good bit of their weapons, but they got an offense that's still good enough to get into field goal range versus Atlanta.
With the run game.
Yeah. So I could see, and he's got a decent sized leg, so he might be able to pull a little Cam Dicker action and go for 20, 21 points.
He's got a big leg. I mean, with the Tampa Bay, I think with them losing both wide receivers, I think if you have, like for me, I have Bucky Irving and Rashad White. You could probably play both and be fine because they're both going to play big parts in this game.
They will, yeah, for sure.
Because I think they tried leaning on, wasn't it the third back, and he just wasn't.
Sean Tucker.
Yeah, he just wasn't happening in this game. Like, he had his moments last game, and everybody was like, oh, maybe he's going to come on in this game. I mean, they gave him touches. He just wasn't.
He had some decent runs. I'm not going to say he didn't.
But he didn't, like.
But again, he's also the third string. I mean, he's going to do what he can with what he's got, but
really,
if you decide to feed him, then maybe you got a shot. But he's only going to really get looks if someone goes down.
Yeah, and we had talked about, like, this year with Rashad White coming up due for a contract within the next year or two, they might move on from him. But it wouldn't shock me if they decide to sign him and they do what Troy's doing with Montgomery and Gibbs.
Yeah, but you also got to have the offense that I guess you want to run by that. Now, again,
I mean, right now they're making it work.
They are making it work. Where they were 2 years ago, where they were dead last in the NFL in rushing for the last 2 years. They're in the top 10.
Yeah.
Which is 136 yards a game. So they're definitely moving towards it.
Yeah. They're working that way, considering that they had 2 wide receivers that probably in the top 20.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not this year because Mike Evans had a slow start, but if you just look at it,
Mike Evans and
season,
Chris Godwin were tied for the lead in receiving touchdowns this year at 5 apiece.
Yeah.
And Godwin was, I want to say, in the top 5 in yards.
Yeah, and they were tied with
And that's
Alan
pretty
Lazard,
much it.
who also has 5 touchdowns, who just gets overlooked. Man, just gets in the end zone.
Well, it's easy when you got, 2 perennial ones there. You're going to get lost in the shuffle.
I think he could be that sneaky person who's like, look, guys, I'm going to get you like 2 or 3 catches a game, but I'm probably going to get in the end zone on one of them.
Well, that's what you got. He's touchdown dependent. So if you're
No, look at that. We were looking at stats early. He's only had 1 game where he hasn't gone over 50 yards. 1 game. And that was against Tennessee. And he only had 2 catches. And Tennessee's defense is stacked. We know. Their offense is a little limp.
It's atrocious.
Considered. It's terrible.
It's
But
mayonnaise
their
and coffee
defense.
back.
What do you mean? It's above average.
But their defense has been solid, which their defense gets overlooked because their offense is so bad. People are like, oh, we're playing Tennessee. And I'm like, don't underestimate Tennessee. Their defense is great. It's kind of like Denver. Denver's defense is solid. Their offense is just now starting to click a little bit. I think that Peyton's trying to get away from I'm going to throw the ball because I'm used to that in New Orleans. And he's just like, let's run heavy with Nix and Javonte Williams. And then we'll throw in a pass here or there.
Yeah.
Because it worked Thursday night. I mean, I loved it. Javonte Williams went off for me.
Worked pretty well.
It did. I started him in every league but one. In the one league I didn't start him in, it was the league that I lost by 0.7.
Well, I guess you deserved it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not going to start him over.
That's what I'm reading from that entire
Yeah.
situation.
But the running backs I had in, I'm not going to start him over. But at this point, I'm going to ride
Maybe
that
should have,
train
and you wouldn't have lost.
Which I said I was going to ride Juwan Jennings until the wheels fell off. And I literally played him twice. The 2 times I started him were his 2 best games. And then I was like, I don't feel like he's going to do well this game. So I benched him. And he went for like 1 catch. That was the game he got like 2 points. And I'm like, smart move. Now,
Well, yeah, if we could all look into the future and pick who's going to do the best, that would be, great, but that's not how it works.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I won this week against Josh, but I could have destroyed him and really helped my points because. But Tank Dell and Jaden Reed putting up 2 points combined. Wasn't supposed to do it. And then
Well, to
Green
be
Bay's
fair,
offense was
if
clicking.
you're lucky to win with 2 guys putting up 2
I
points
know.
combined, that's pretty solid.
Well, it helps when your quarterback, 1 running back, and your defense put up 70 points, 75 points,
Well, in any fantasy league, if you can get
20 something.
2 guys with 20 plus, you got a really good shot at making it
Yeah.
happen.
Well,
And if you can get 3 guys at 20 plus, or even when you versed me, 2 guys get literally half your fucking points,
Yeah.
it's pretty easy to beat somebody.
I'm trying to when I played you, who was it? Jaden Reed and Lamar Jackson? They got
It
most
was
of my points?
Chase and Lamar Jackson.
Yeah. I knew it was one of my receivers. I couldn't
Yeah,
remember.
Chase went for 40.
Yeah.
Kind of can't win when you're doing that.
Always a good time.
And what really hurt me in the league, though, is I'd be ranked higher, but my first 2 weeks, I barely broke 70 points. Since then, I think my lowest game is like 115.
Yeah, you're on tear.
Yeah, I'm on a pretty good run, and it wasn't looking good at first. I was like, man, this is rough. Miller texted me earlier. He was like, doing good with the team. I'm glad you're looking now. If you'd have looked in week 2, I'd been like, sorry, man, I'm trying.
Yeah.
I was like, my team, it looked good on paper, but it was one of those where like everybody just wasn't showing up fantasy-wise. They were playing.
Well, the only thing that's been
Interesting.
good for you is that you, knock on wood, you haven't hit the injury bug yet.
No, not entirely. I think I've had like 1 person who's went out hurt, but I've had.
But in the
like,
sense of
before.
like major injury is what I'm like saying.
Yeah, I think because I got lucky versus you with Ja'Marr Chase having a good game because that was the same week that Aaron Jones went down, and I was like, well, fuck, of course, I'm playing Donnie.
Yeah, I messaged him too. I was like, yo, Jones
I
went
was at
down, motherfucker. What's up? You suck.
That was
and
payback for
and
him.
then Nico Collins
Yeah.
went down. I was like, fuck.
Oh yeah.
Why?
He like called me. He's like, yeah, it's too bad about Aaron Jones.
Too bad about that Aaron Jones
And I
guy,
was like,
huh?
why?
Hope
What
you enjoy
happened?
those
I was-
5
I
points.
was literally at work and I'm like, why would it happen? Like I had it on TV and I was watching it, but I was working at the same time. And he's like, oh, he just went down. And I'm like, oh. And then they're like, yeah, he's not coming back this game. And I was like, fuck. And he was rolling like he was gonna have a good game.
Yeah, he was doing
So,
good.
I was like, damn it, of course. But then Nico Collins went down. I'm like, that's just payback. And then Jamar Chase was like, I'll pick up the slack, and he literally did enough for the both of them. I'm like, I'll take it.
Apparently, Baltimore doesn't know how to cover the number one wide receiver on a pass-heavy team. Who would have fucking thought?
Yeah, because I think you're the one who pointed out, because I hadn't even looked, that I had all my number one positions were top 5.
Yeah, every position. Yeah,
not right now, because Jaden Reed and Aaron Jones. When Aaron Jones got hurt, he dropped.
Yeah, they dropped.
Because he's top 10 now. Jaden Reed dropped out. He's 8 because he was 3.
Yeah.
It was Chase 1 and him 3 for a little while, and then Lamar Jackson I think was 2.
Yeah, that's how it
Or
works.
3, whatever. But I was
anyways, back to the other big topic, Deshaun Watson. He's done for the year.
And getting booed. Don't get me wrong. I understand where the Cleveland Brown fans are coming from. He didn't quite deserve that, but he kind of did because he
didn't deserve the big one. Because
Yeah.
and you could see how it physically broke him. He was crying on the cart, probably because his Achilles ruptured into 2 pieces.
Yeah.
But also because these people were just it was I'm already on fire, but hey, let's piss on his grave
too.
too.
Do you think it's the same thing as last year? But this time it's Winston comes in and wins games.
I don't know. They played Dorian Thomas-Robinson first. He's going to probably
I think
get the first
if they'd have played Winston first, they probably would have won. They could have won.
To be honest, it really shouldn't even have happened. And you can point at 2 people, but I really believe it's Kevin Stefanski's fault that he got the boos that he received.
I mean,
because you kept him in too fucking long. He was last in the league in pretty much every statistical category for a quarterback, and you're like, nah, he's still our best chance to win. And you're like, you couldn't sit him down for 1, maybe 2, see how else you got. And then let's say he comes back in, and then he gets hurt. I would say he wouldn't have had as much hate towards him. I got to blame that on the coach and the owner, who's just like, no, I paid him $230 million. You're playing this son of a bitch.
I was going to say, that was your analogy. I mean, that's like you said, paying for a Ferrari and parking at the garage to drive your Ford Fiesta.
Yeah.
But your Ford Fiesta can get you point A and point B with no issues.
Terrific vehicle.
Yeah. So it's I do feel bad that it happened. But I do feel bad that it happened, and most likely his time is done in Cleveland because even with the Achilles, he's out until next year minimum, and I don't see him taking the same approach as Kurt and Aaron.
He's not gonna be in any rush to come back.
No, he is not.
He's gonna take his time.
He's guaranteed money, and personally, I would say that the owner doesn't want him to come back, or the coach doesn't want him to come back. He's like, you take your time.
Yeah, 'cause the money didn't come out of the coach's pocket.
Just you sit and do what you want. Don't even go to the doctor. Let's see if it heals naturally.
Let's just see it.
I personally think that's what they're going to do because then the excuse is, oh, well, you're getting all this money. Well, he's hurt. It's an Achilles. I can't help that. This and that.
I know, and of course, they get a quarterback in there who is known for slinging it. Now, granted, he'll throw just as many touchdowns and interceptions, but they get rid of their number 1 weapon right before that.
Well, again, the only problem is that they're so far down that they possibly might just ride this till the wheels fall off again and just take a number 1 pick and they're going to draft a QB. Because the timetable for, like we said, Deshaun Watson, this is right when Kurt's timetable was when he tore his Achilles, was week 7, week 8. Now, he was able to make it back, but Kurt wants to play football. I don't think Deshaun wants to right now, so he's definitely going to take his time. Yeah. And this is pretty much giving them the okay, we're going to have a pick 1 or 2, depending on how the rest of the season goes, and we'll be able to draft our next guy. And then by the time that other contract's done, we'll be able to deal with it because we have a rookie still on contract for another year or 2.
Now, do you think they'll trade for somebody? I mean, I don't know who out there that they could trade for.
Me personally, I don't think they. I wouldn't want to save this season. The season's complete garbage. You're nowhere near. It's not like you're going to sniff the playoffs.
Not when you have Cincinnati, you guys, and Baltimore. It's Baltimore
now getting there. They're not winning the division. That's long been done.
The odds of all 4 teams from your division going when you have Cleveland playing like crap. I was in the AFC of all places. If it was the NFC, maybe, but the AFC, I don't see an entire division making it to the playoffs.
No, there's at least one trash team in every division. Be honest,
Because they get the shit kicked out of them by the other three.
we have probably the best division in the AFC.
This year, definitely.
Yeah, this year, because I mean the South is, I mean Jacksonville's really just deep diving them. Colts are so. Houston isn't exactly where they would want to be.
Like they're still 5-2.
No, Houston. I think they're like
Yeah, they're
4-3.
5-2,
Are they?
I think so. But still, like you said, like they're gonna win that division. I think Houston, because Tennessee's offense I don't think is good enough. Their defense is, but I don't think their offense is good
Tennessee
enough.
doesn't have the offense. Jacksonville just can't win a ball game, and
Yeah.
the Colts are very up in the
And I
air as long as Richardson's
And
under
Jacksonville's the
center.
new Cleveland Browns. I think like they look good on paper when you look at their roster.
Cleveland's.
No, I'm talking about like back when they had Baker. It's like they look good on paper everywhere. Like they should be winning games, but it's like, but they're not.
Well, they were winning games with Baker, and then they were like,
playoffs.
"We can do
Yeah, but
better,
they
maybe."
They only went to the playoffs once with Baker, didn't they? Just one time.
How many times they gone with Deshaun?
Well, I mean, Deshaun's what? How many games? Did he play?
0. He's played 19 games. That's a full season.
But 2 separate seasons.
Regardless, all I'm saying is getting the Browns to the playoffs. Again, that's why Kevin Stefanski has 2 Coach of the Years, is because it's like the most impossible thing to do. With Jacksonville, they haven't sucked long enough.
If they get to the Super Bowl, he'd be the first coach to ever win MVP.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, it's like Jacksonville, they haven't sucked long enough.
Yeah.
And they've had some small glimmers of hope. You know, like AFC Championship with Blake Bortles.
Blake Bortles.
That's right. You know, defense really blew that lead to Tom. They could have been to a Super Bowl. And they've been to some other AFC. I think they made it like an AFC Championship with Tom Coughlin when he was coach, right when they first started. So they've had success
That would Burnett.
in a short
So
amount.
last year before last, they won wild card and then lost in the division.
Yeah, but they've had a decent amount of success for a team that came in '95. The
Yeah.
Browns have been in the league since it fucking began, and they haven't been relevant from like really Bernie Kosar days, and even then it was kind of iffy. Yeah, but they still haven't sniffed. I can't remember if they've been to an AFC Championship. Has it been that long? Like, was that an AFC? I think the drive with John Elway was an AFC Championship game, if I'm not mistaken.
It was either the AFC Championship game or to get to the AFC.
I can't remember which, but it's just they've been bad for so long, and then they finally get a little bit of good, and then to be honest, they think they're too big for their fucking britches, and they're like, oh, we do have a roster, and this is what it looks like when we got this quarterback in Baker Mayfield. Now let's go get Deshaun Watson, who hasn't played in 2 years,
Yeah.
and then we're really going to take off. And it's like I say it every year. The Browns are the Browns, and the Jets are the Jets. Those are the 2 things that you can keep in your back pocket because you know that it's going to remain true. Every year, people were just like, oh, it's the... And again, you could like Dallas, but it's a little different. They've had success. These are teams that have just been crap, and when they try to make it better, they find a way to still make it crap.
Dallas' success, though, is like winning a dollar scratch-off ticket, and they're expecting to win the grand prize every time. They're like, we won 12 games.
I mean, to be honest, this year, if I'm Dallas, I'm also kind of calling it a little bit of a season myself.
Yeah.
You know? Because you're like the 3rd best team in your fucking division. And, like, I don't even know. You and the Giants are almost in this area. Like, if the Giants had maybe a decent run game and maybe, like, a little bit more competency at the QB, not to say Daniel Jones isn't, but just a little bit more, I think they would be above Dallas, personally. So it's like, just call it a crapshoot. You're not going to make the playoffs. Fire McCarthy. Bring in whoever you want. I say
Dallas fans to call it though. It's their year still.
it's always their year, but just
They're not even halfway.
I feel like you just got to. There are some teams that got to come to the realization, like we're done.
Yeah.
It's week 7. You can pack up the bags and call it a day.
That's like for us. I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's still a chance in our division because like football. hasn't ranked
You're
good with it yet.
you're second in your division.
Yeah.
You're 2.5 games back, but I mean, have you guys played Buffalo yet this year?
Yeah, played them
played
like a
them
week.
once.
That was the.
Oh yeah, that was the Tua game. Yeah.
I'm like,
So,
yeah.
but you still got one more game versus them.
DeMar Hamlin.
You get to play New England one more time,
And
right?
the Jets twice.
Yeah, I mean, you could easily, if Tua comes back and stays healthy, that offense is definitely potent when it wants to be.
Which
That's
I don't understand why he doesn't
giant
wear the
question
Guardian
mark
pack
there.
either. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, they
He
look.
doesn't
goofy.
look like a fucking nerd.
They do look stupid, but if it works,
really
it works.
does.
I mean, Devon Achane worked. It didn't seem to affect his game any. It looks stupid. You know what it reminded me of? I was talking about this at work today. It reminds me of. We couldn't remember. I think it was NFL Blitz. So the characters were kind of small, but their heads were really big. And watching Devon Achane run, I'm like.
Thought you were meaning Cody's hat. That's what I would think of.
No, you know what I'm talking about. The one where every time the quarterback threw like a deep ball, it always had like fire behind it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was NFL. Was it Blitz the
I
league?
think
or
it
something?
was, I think
NFL, you're talking about streets. NFL
No,
street.
not streets.
No, Blitz.
This is like
Blitz.
CS1.
Blitz when you could have the little. You didn't have mods at the time.
Yeah,
you had the
'cause there
little
was, like,
cheat
three-
codes where you could.
Oh,
put
yeah.
Like when they're in the load screen, you could like randomly hit buttons and it would put like 3. So
Yeah,
you could make your
giant
giant
heads.
heads or
Yeah.
like, unlimited kicking distance or something.
It just, and again, it just looks
Brett Favre was the
fucking.
best on the game because his arm strength, you could throw from one end of the field literally to the other end.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, if it's safe, perfectly fine, and I don't know how it affects you in the
Like a
sense of.
quarterback way, I don't know how it would affect. I'm sure he's practicing.
Well, this is a guy that has to, have his head move and turning and doing all this. So I don't know if I don't know how much extra weight is involved.
Yeah, I don't know. That's
with
why
it.
I was.
And also, you got to think I'm able to see a little bit of my periph with the helmet, back when we did. So it's like maybe you can see a little, like it's a little bit bigger,
Now,
so
from
you
what
can
I saw
see
on
extra.
Devon Achane, there's actually like it comes back on the helmet like a half an inch, so you can't actually see it.
Yeah.
And it's strapped on, so because I mean he still had a decent game, and it didn't.
So the only I could think of would be it's a weight issue.
Yeah.
To where it's enough to where it's like him trying to turn his head and look his reads maybe off by like a fraction of a second.
Yeah.
But that's a fraction of a second whether someone's open or you throw a fucking pick six.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Well, and then that's in our offense. That's what he's good at.
throwing pick sixes, I couldn't agree more.
I mean, he'll throw a lot of big sixes, actually, but
Hey, you
Yeah.
said it, not me, buddy.
he's good at those quick reads, like you get the ball out fast.
Yeah.
So
Again.
and that could affect his timing. And our offense is completely based on timing.
Yeah.
I mean, if these last few games for Dolphins fans don't prove how much better we are with Tua, then I don't know what else to show them. It's like, don't get me wrong. If we could find somebody who could stay healthy and still do the same thing as him, be more than happy to take him. But right now,
I mean,
Tua's doing
personally,
the job.
I see it as a little bit of a blessing if you guys have a shit year because your team's good enough and you've already signed most of the people that you
Yeah.
want signed.
so we
And
can go.
the
get
other
John
guys
Davis.
are on, and the other ones are on rookie contracts, like Achan and stuff like that. So
and
it's,
Jalen Wright, who's coming on kind of strong now.
yeah. So it's like you could go and spin that first rounder and get yourself a solid lineman that's going to help block. Hell,
Maybe a
you
left
do the
tackle-
first.
a left tackle that
You
actually
do
is
first
really
two,
good.
yeah. So it's like if he doesn't come back and play this year, personally, it's not the end of the world. I would
I
say,
think he'll be back. Yeah, I think he'll play this week.
and there's talks that he will. But I guess the question is, how many more games do you guys have to lose before you're just like, okay, all right, we're done.
Well, let me see. I got to see what our remaining.
You're 2-4 right now.
Let's see what our remaining.
Let's say you lose the next 3 and you're 2-7. Do you just wipe your hands of it and say, hey?
Yeah, because we play the
Better.
Cardinals obviously this week. If Tua plays, they can go 50-50 because the Cardinals are like they're on and off, like they're hot and cold. Like
I'll put you like this: when they run the ball with James Conner, they tend to do pretty well. When they're like, "Hey, let's give you 4 touches and let's just throw to Marvin Harrison 50 times," they don't do as well.
but our remaining schedule is not terrible. We have like 3 games where I'm like, if Tua plays, we have a chance. If he doesn't, we don't. So we have Cardinals this week. I can go either way. If Tua doesn't play and Huntley's able to play, it can go
Loss.
either way.
It's a loss.
If we run the ball well, their
it's a
run
loss.
defense isn't amazing.
Fucking loss.
If you think so, sure. And then we play Buffalo.
That's
Yeah.
a loss.
But if Tua plays,
It's
who
a
knows?
loss. It's a loss.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, he'll get concussed again, and then he's definitely lost.
Sure. Then we have the Rams. Let me guess, lost.
No, I'm
That's
okay
it.
with that. I'm okay with that being a 50-50.
And they got the Raiders.
Yeah, that's a win.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
Then we got the Patriots.
Yeah, I'll say win. Yeah.
Then we got Green Bay.
That's a loss. That's a big old L.
Then we got the Jets.
I think it depends on how the Devontae train comes along. So I'm gonna leave that in a 60-40 range, where 40% you win. That's where I'm sitting at right there.
And then we got the Texans.
I'm gonna say that's a loss. Yeah.
And then we got the 49ers.
I'm gonna say that's a loss.
Really? They have like no offense right now.
I mean, yeah, but how many weeks is that down the road?
5?
Yeah,
No.
people will be back.
1, 2.
You've said a lot of.
Debo Samuel's.
No, that's 9 weeks. Sorry.
Yeah, that's 9 weeks. I got a strong feel they're gonna have some people back.
He's just on the toilet.
Who's gonna come back?
Debo will.
Debo.
Debo will be the only one.
I got-
out for the season.
McCaffrey's got to find a way to play sometime.
Probably
They're
that
saying
late.
McCaffrey might not play football again.
Well, you don't know.
Good.
We do know. There was the German doctor that he.
Oh
mentioned
yeah,
as
when's the last time
specialist.
Germany's done anything good for America?
Started World War that we won.
How's that good for us?
I mean,
we lost so
would you
many
not count a
people.
fight that somebody started with you that
Did you
finished
just
and won?
advocate for the H word?
For what?
The H word.
That wasn't the war.
That was pretty much the reason of the war, buddy.
No, the reason of the war was them trying to take over a country.
And there we go.
They were taking out people in their own country.
I'm
And
just
then
saying.
we finished with the Browns and Jets.
Browns, I'll let you win, and then the Jets again, 64.
You're gonna let us win?
Yeah. You don't know. James Winston.
I will say
Could somehow.
a good solid couple of weeks for Devontae Adams. You lost to the Steelers, and then you get traded to the Jets, and then you lose
To the Jets,
to the Steelers again.
Or the
Yeah. Now, if he can get traded to the Giants real quick and then lose again.
And lose again.
No, I think really it's well. What happened there is they just stopped looking at him. He had 3 targets the rest of the game. Like you want to know how you win, you want to know how you make him produce. You got to give him volume. Throwing the ball to him less than 10 times a game ain't gonna fix it.
As Josh once
I mean,
said, I can't do nothing if you don't feed me the ball.
With Pittsburgh's
right.
remaining schedule, y'all could very easily lose 7 of them.
Yeah, I mean we discussed that the back half was the hardest part.
Yeah. You could very easily lose 7 of them.
Read them off to me. Read them off to me.
Depending on injuries, really. 'cause
Read 'em off.
The
I want
Commanders
read off.
can go either way. Daniels plays, it's a 50-50 game, I think.
Well, we're really good at stopping the run, so
But
That's kind of-
running quarterbacks.
I mean, how many times has Lamar Jackson beat us? It's not a lot. I'll put it that way.
It's a new season every year.
Not for Lamar. He tends to lose to us both times.
And then you got the Ravens right after that.
I will split 1-1 with the
And
Ravens.
then you got the Browns, which you should win.
That's 2 wins.
Then you
right
play the
there.
Bengals. So it depends on which Bengals shows up. Bengals seem to have your numbers some years, and you guys have their numbers some
I'll
years.
splitsies. So 5 wins so far.
And then the Eagles, depends which Eagles team shows up.
I mean, if we stop Saquon, you really stop the Eagles, to be honest with you. Because the only time they've really won games is when they just let
Well, to
him
be
run.
fair, they just, this week was the first time they've actually had all their wide receivers back and Saquon. So, and Saquon just happened to go off, so they were like, we don't need you guys.
Happened to.
I don't know if you consider having Devontae Smith back. He had 1 catch for -2 yards.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when you have your running back running for...
Back's a strong.
Back's a strong word when he put up .8
Yeah.
fantasy points.
But then
It's
y'all
someone.
finish with, after the Eagles, you have Ravens, Chiefs, Bengals.
Yeah, I say out of the rest, I feel comfortable saying 5 more wins. Both Cleveland's. 1 versus Baltimore because we know how to play them. 1 versus Cincy because we know
But
how to play them.
Y'all
And
never
then I
played
forget
Baltimore
that
with
other
Derrick
one.
Henry.
Play with J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards. I mean, it's running
Not-
backs are running backs.
Don't even compare J.K. Dobbins.
Running backs are
to Gus
running
Edwards
backs.
to Derrick. There is no running back like Derrick Henry. For you to even say those 2 names in the same sentence as Derrick Henry,
I did.
you should be slapped by
I
the
mean,
football
Gus
guy.
Edwards, what? I think he led the league in rushing touchdowns
They
last
haven't,
year,
they
right?
haven't played.
No, he didn't.
They haven't played.
Last year it
Ravens.
was Christian McCaffrey and Raheem Mostert.
Whatever.
What even close?
Either way, Gus was still putting up a lot of
They
points.
haven't played a Ravens team with Derrick Henry, but that Ravens team also hasn't played a Steelers defense with Patrick Queen and Deshaun Elliott.
They did last year. Patrick Queen was there last year.
No, he wasn't. He was a Raven.
I could have sworn he was there last
No,
year.
he got traded this year.
First year's a Steeler.
But if any, that would give them any more
Deshaun
reason.
Elliott's playing well, and by the time they play him, Herbig should be back. He was playing very well before he got hurt.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Then you got Highsmith.
Like I said,
Playing well.
it's a split.
There's still no stopping Derrick Henry.
No, you can just hope to slow down.
People say, oh, he's a fourth quarter. You know why he's a fourth quarter running back? Because the defense is getting tired of getting fucking hit by somebody who weighs 250 pounds. They're like,
I
eventually they're
mean,
like, you're
for
gonna flinch
some
when he's coming
reason,
through.
they didn't give him the ball for like what, almost a whole quarter, I think, right? Last night, he didn't touch the ball for like a little bit.
Like half of the third quarter, like 2 drives.
He had like 15 carries. I thought he would have more.
Yeah, I thought he would have more too. Especially considering he had 15 carries. Now, granted, he had an 80 and a 30. That's where most of his yards came from.
They took him out with a 10-point lead. I was kind of hoping they lost after that, because you put the second team off.
I wish they would have took Godwin out with a 10-point deficit. That's the other thing that blew my mind, because I saw the rules and how with the new kickoff rules, you only get to onside twice in the fourth quarter. That's it.
Really?
Yeah, apparently
I
so.
didn't know there was a.
Which means,
Time you get onside.
which means, even if Tampa Bay scored, they weren't going to be able to onside kick again, and they were going to lose.
Yeah,
So why the fuck is your first team still out there? You have no shot to win.
Yeah, you were down. They were down 17 before they scored the first touchdown and got the onside kick. So it's like you're still. It's
They
still
were
a 2-score
down.
game
They
after
were
that.
down 11, and they already did the onside kick twice.
Yeah, I'm
Which
like,
means you're not going to be able to do it again.
and they didn't even recover it the second time. So.
But yeah, so this is like the second time where the rules have really just not screwed a team. We all know San Fran's deal, so it's like, don't you guys get a fucking handbook that shows you all these rules, especially the new ones?
So that
And
we don't
if
run into
so,
this issue in the middle of a game.
yeah,
I didn't even know that was a thing, and I remember seeing it, and I thought we read it. I don't remember seeing there was a cap. That's just that's dumb.
Not only should you have the handbook of the new rules of the new systems that have come out, you should also have a guy.
thank you. That's exactly
That
my point.
literally
You
should
need
just be
to
doing
hire.
that.
You need to hire someone. You're an
Yeah, that's
NFL
our guy.
organization.
He's our guy.
Pay this kid, $75K a year, and
That's his whole job,
his
just
deal
to
is
get the
just rule book. And you know what? He's prepared for scenarios.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, we've already kicked off twice. Hey, coach, listen, there's no way we're going to win this based off the new rules. I wouldn't play anyone of significant value. Don't worry about it. And then someone's in the coach's ear saying, like, yeah, this guy says we can't win. It's physically impossible. And then, boom, nothing fucking happens.
But then you have these coaches who are like, I'm not a numbers guy. I'm a play guy.
If
I'll be
there's
like,
anybody-
no, it's physically impossible, guy.
If there's anybody watching that can report this to the NFL, we have a few guys.
I mean, the fact that it hasn't been done already, like you saw the whole Super Bowl issue unfold.
We all know the
And-
Lions aren't hiring Dan Campbell.
And we knew from our fucking couches, like, what are you doing accepting the ball first? You each get it.
Yeah.
Go second. Like, don't be fucking stupid. But they don't even know that. You're going to tell me you pay a guy $50K to just be in your ear? Like, each team gets the ball, right? Just so you know, Kyle.
Yeah, the mic'd up things are like, oh yeah, I forgot that in the Super Bowl they get the ball too if we
Yeah.
score a touchdown.
If you want to give him a
Yeah.
second job, he can also be the guy holding the cords.
Yeah, that's
Like,
cool.
The guy who's got the headset on.
He
he's got
gotta
a cord
put him in
behind he'll be
payroll
holding
or
these
something
damn
stupid.
cords
He
this
puts
whole
up in the
time.
booth, so he has the computer, the handbook.
That's
everything
all
put
he
on.
is. He is in the booth and he is preparing for certain scenarios. That's it. That's your one deal.
It could be the same guy who looks at the coach and is like, that would be a good review, coach. Or, no, you should review that. He's clearly down. Because there's a lot of times where they should replay, and the coach throws the flag. It's like, who's telling you to review
To be
that?
fair, they've had the review assist on, which has been pretty helpful this year.
It has, where they do it quick.
Yeah, so I'm cool with that.
And I do like that, because there's sometimes where it's like, that's obvious. How
It's
are you not gonna call that?
just more scenario based.
Yeah, because it helped in,
my thing.
which, was it the San Francisco game where they stripped the ball, but he stepped out of bounds before it was stripped? Was that the San Francisco game?
I
Yeah.
think so, yeah.
Yeah, so it was like, that one was pretty obvious, but it happened so fast, the ref was just like, let's let it happen.
Yeah, and they were
just in
quick.
case.
But there are other
And
stuff.
then they were able to turn it over.
But there's other things where it's like, and again, I don't know who's talking to these dudes, but it was the Tampa Bay game, and they scored, and they were lining up to kick the extra point. I'm like, if you make this, you're still down 12.
Yeah.
Why aren't you going for
For
two?
two.
Because then if you make it, you're only down 11, and if you don't, you're down 13. Like, who's in your fucking ear, like,
But
not
the 1
giving
point
you that
doesn't
info?
make any difference.
Yeah, like it doesn't. And I understand you're in the heat of a moment and you're in the, but if you got a dude that his only job is to focus on these types of situations, and then he's able to relay it down to you, that's only going to make your team better. And yeah, there's sometimes he's going to be useless. So yeah, paying him that $75K is going to seem kind of redundant. But if he's there for that 1 to 2 moments, that
it's no different than what they're paying Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, but that save you a game or save you a very key player on your offense.
Down the season.
Yeah, like make it involved. You know, these guys. Like, I mean, again, the rule book is very extensive. You got to know, like, Bill Belichick knew that thing forwards and backwards. Yep. They literally had to make rules so he couldn't fucking do it.
He knew the rules forward and backward because his team was the reason why a lot of those rules got put in.
Yeah, but I mean the false start rule and punts to tick more seconds off.
Yeah,
no one knew that. No one knew that. And then he does it 3 times with a smirk on his face, and then finally he's like, "We kind of got to mess." You need a guy like that who's able to not bend the rules, but find that loop. Use the rules to their advantage. Find that loophole that's going to make your team better.
Which comes to what game was it in college where they threw the extra man on the field to get that runoff? Was it the Oregon? No.
Yeah, Oregon. Dan Lanning. He said he threw that on, so they got the penalty. So you gave up the 5 yards.
But
to be honest,
like 10 seconds.
To be honest, I think that's fucking horseshit because they were already in field goal range or close to it. And that was more, I just think your guys were being fucking dumb. And you're like, okay, we'll take the penalty.
He admitted that he did it on purpose.
Yeah, I would admit it too. Sure. To seem like a fucking genius because I won.
But then the NCAA was like, yeah, we're not going to let that happen again. Which also brings me to
I think it was purely he fucked up, but it worked out in his favor. So he was just like, yeah, I did that.
Well, I mean,
I'll take credit.
No, to be fair, when you see the replays of the whole play, he's got a huge smile on his face. Like, he's like, yeah, I did that. And it worked. Like, it was like he knew what he was doing. But then it also brings me to, like, the Texas-Georgia game with the pass interference that was called. That wasn't a pass interference, which is why they should bring back the reviews. But the fact that they called it, and then the Texas fans threw a huge fit. They started throwing bottles on the field. And then the refs were like, they took the flag away. I'm like, you can't do that. Because now you set a precedent for other games where if the fans hate a call, they're just going to start throwing shit on the field. And then the refs are going to be like, I guess we got to change the call again. Then they're going to do it more often.
Oh, no. Most of the time they just fine they penalize the home team.
Yeah, which is what they almost did, but the coach walked out there and was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. But, I mean, that was one of those where they should be able to review pass interferences. The 1 year they did it, they didn't want to overturn a lot of them because they didn't want to be proven wrong.
Yeah.
When there were a lot of them that were reviewed that weren't pass interference. That one was.
Well, that's everybody because umpires are the same way. They don't want this assist call because it'd be like, oh, you're going to show how shitty of an ump I am. So well, don't be fucking shitty.
Yeah.
Simple enough, right?
I mean, to be honest, I would rather, like, as a fan, if it was my team either way, I'd rather you throw the flag and then it be able to be reviewed than you not throw it and then we can't review it. Because if it is a pass interference, it's a pass interference. But like that one wasn't. I saw the replay and there was nothing there to if anything, it could have been on the offense because he.
The problem is there's always a gray area with that because it's like the same. Like you could call holding on every play if you really wanted to. And yeah, you can call pass interference on probably every play if you want to. That comes down to the refs and whether or not it's ticky-tack. Now, the ones where it's like completely, you notice how he just completely knocked his head off before the ball was even there, you didn't call it? Do that.
Well, there was one, I can't remember what game it was that I was watching. They called pass interference on the defense, but it was an offensive pass interference. But it happened to be another penalty on the offense as well, so it was offsetting when it should have been 2 on the offense.
Oh, yeah, I do remember.
Because it was in the end zone and the ball didn't get caught, but like you clearly saw the wide receiver push and then come back for the ball, and the corner falls flat on his ass, and they were just like, defense pass interference, and I'm like, what are you watching?
And there's a few others. So like when
that face mask that happened in the game we were watching.
Yeah, like, or like when the Steelers blocked that extra point.
Oh, and they called
and they said he pushed off, and it's like he didn't fucking use leverage or nothing.
It was more like a wave, like a bull.
It was like a wave, yeah. it's just
Yeah, I didn't agree
there
with
was
that.
no leverage there whatsoever.
Well, they had the Baltimore game. They called back a touchdown on a hold when it wasn't the guy. He didn't even hit him. He literally went to go hit him, and then put his arms down to let him go by, and the ref threw a flag. And they're like, he didn't even touch him.
I asked the question when I saw the Steelers blocked field goal. I was like, what do you want him to do with his hands?
Yeah.
Like, is he just supposed to jump through?
He has to jump up. He has to jump through like this.
Well, I don't know what I'm supposed to
Now
do.
we have seen we've all seen leverage calls.
Oh yeah, where you're stepping on a defender's back like the center and jumping over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we've seen that. Or using your own. Well, you can use your own player, but you can't use them to go.
You can't use them for like
You can't get on their back and
Yeah,
go
you
up.
can't get on their back and go up. But yeah,
can slingshot each other.
and I mean
Let him
Minka's
do it.
getting
Let him
Minka is
engage.
getting that from the
We
side.
want a little Ricky Bobby and shake and bake.
Let
Yeah,
him,
I just
let him launch him. Who cares?
yeah, and that one it's like come on, like
Yeah,
what are we
I
doing?
didn't agree with that either. That was a dumb play.
And then when they come back and block the other one, to be honest, there was more leverage on that one
Yeah.
than the one that they called the penalty on.
But that also brings, at least Russell Wilson looked good in that game. We were a little worried because it was like, you've been winning with.
Struggle happened early.
It did happen early.
He
and then
was
started
definitely short throwing it a lot. He
Yeah.
was doing like the on his heel throws and they just weren't getting there. But
clicking. Once he got in his groove and finally got his throwback.
because you got to think about this. This is his first live real game action
Yeah.
versus number one. So think of it as his first game. How crappy was everyone in the first couple weeks trying to get back into the
Yeah,
swing
because
of
the
things?
preseason's like, no one.
Preseason's
they don't
stupid.
use preseason for what they
So
use
yeah,
it
the
for.
first couple of games, what? We weren't having any 300-yard passing games. You know, they were lucky
Yeah.
to sniff 250. So yeah, because Andy Dalton was the first one for 3-3. But that's what I'm saying. So it's like this was technically his first game, and yeah, he had to shake the cobwebs off. But then finally, it's like I see what they're looking at.
Yeah.
He's able to make the throws that
That Justin Fields
Justin
doesn't make.
that he doesn't want to make.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Because Justin Fields has got the arm strength.
It's more
He doesn't have that
Wilson.
touch.
Wilson isn't afraid. Like, hey, if I throw this pick, it's okay because I'm gonna come out and throw another one and it'll probably go for a touchdown. With Fields, it's like if I throw a pick, I'm probably gonna get fucking benched.
Which is true.
Yeah,
Because that's pretty much what they told Fields. They're like, look, you're just playing until
He gets
Wilson's
healthy.
better. And it's like, he's there. If you start to fuck up, we can still put him in. But we're letting him get
Well, no,
fully
this was like these 2 weeks are a 2-week tryout for Russ before the bye week,
Yeah.
and then you got to make a decision because we all stated like these before Washington came out solid. It was going to be like these first 10 weeks are going to be who's going to be the guy before we get into the hard schedule.
And your hard schedule got longer because if Jaden Daniels is healthy
To be
by
fair,
then,
yeah, but remember Cleveland twice, so it kind of reversed.
true.
It kind of dropped down, to be honest with you.
Well, we'll see how they play with James. I honestly think they're in a better position with James Winston, and now that Nick Chubb's back, I honestly believe that their offense is gonna look way better.
Yeah, but they're gonna
To be
have
honest,
to-
I couldn't even name you
but-
the receiver. Well, they got
Judy.
Jerry Judy.
Judy
Like,
Jerry.
who's their
Juju.
who's their
Juju.
wide receiver?
Uh,
you have
Elijah
Njoku.
Moore.
Yeah, Elijah Moore
Yeah,
and
Elijah
David
Moore.
Njoku's back.
And Njoku had played solid, so it's like, and with Nick Chubb, and it was his first game. He got what 11.
He got 11 carries.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he didn't have a
For
lot of
22 yards on a
Yeah.
touchdown.
Yeah.
He was like 10 for 20, but he got in the end zone. So,
But again, that O line has
Wasn't
not
deep,
been wow. I think they're still like
Yeah.
missing like their
and
tackles.
it'll take,
and-
I think, Chubb a game or two to get back into the Chubb we know.
exactly.
But with Jameis Winston, I think he goes out there and plays like he's like, I don't have anything
But the
to
thing
lose.
is, Jameis isn't
See,
even
put him
the
in the
starter
line.
right now. He's not the starter right now.
I think he'll
Dorian
start.
Thompson Robinson.
Yeah, Dorian Thompson Robinson's right now. That's his show. Now is he gonna? Now he may take a couple of games of fucking up, and then they'll be like, why don't we just put Jameis?
Well, they also just signed Bailey Zappi today too.
Woo!
Yeah. So,
I mean, you got to have a third quarterback
You
in
do.
emergency, so might as well.
but to be honest, if Dorian, whatever his name is, fucks up this game, he might be that third emergency quarterback. Because fair, I think we all agreed that we all thought Bailey Zappi was a better quarterback when he was in New England over Mac Jones.
Some games.
Yeah, some games. Yeah, he had his games, but when he was on in those games, he looked good. It just the rest of the team sucked. They didn't have any weapons really. I'm
Still
like,
don't.
yeah, they still don't. I mean, Polk's.
I had
But it was
Kendrick
okay.
Bourne.
Yeah. And like you have Stevenson, and now they have Antonio Gibson. They have like a 1-2 punch, but one can't hold on to the football.
1.5.
Yeah. So it's like, it's still, like, for the New England fans out there, that this is, like, their rough time. You had your 15 years when Brady was there. Now it's like,
20.
yeah, 20 years. But now you gotta, come back down to.
But I like what Drake May's done so far.
I do too. Drake May
So-
just come on.
So I think have your shit year, get some high draft picks, maybe build the offensive line, or
But also be careful with
Or-
Drake May at the same time. Don't push him in games where if like he's getting beat up early because of the O-line shit, pull him.
but if it's
Don't leave
me,
him in
you
there.
go and grab O line, or you go get yourself a big name one.
Yeah. If they have a top 5 pick, you go a big name one.
Yeah.
And if you're outside, I would say if they're outside,
They'll have a top
they're gonna have a top
Yeah, they'll
5.
have
But if for some reason
top 5 pick.
something happens and they have a pick outside the top 10, get kind of shady there because you don't.
I don't
it
know what would
depends.
have to happen for them to get a pick
I don't know
outside the
either.
top 10.
I think they're
The
I think they're for sure.
The NFL would have to pick up the draft lottery in the middle of the season.
Yeah.
For
I think
them
they,
to not have a top.
They for
5.
sure got to go with a solid one though, or even a running back. But I think you got to go one. If depending on the draft pick, if they have 10,
But my thing is, if you don't have a wide receiver to help with the passing,
which is very true, and their O line is shit.
Yeah.
You can sign one for.
if it's me,
Genty.
I think, and I don't know the receiving class yet or how
Yeah,
great it's going to be. I know that Arizona kid's supposed to be really good. What is it, Milligan or something like that? It might even be McMillan again. Something like that. I know
I'm not big on the wide
I know
receiver
he's up
right
on
away.
top and things like that, but
I'm gonna look right at him.
Could get.
yeah, look,
could get
because
100.
I don't
Because
know
I'm not familiar with the wide receiver.
because I don't know who's like a top 10-ish pick, but let's say you have, a top 5 and you got teams that are looking for a quarterback. You could trade down, get yourself an extra
Sure.
second rounder, first rounder, or whatever.
There are teams looking for quarterbacks.
There are
And
teams,
they're
and
gonna-
then-
and they're going to sell.
And then
they're
you
gonna sell
can build
yeah,
that.
It's that Tario McMillan
Yep.
from Arizona.
Arizona. He's
And
like
you got
he's like the
Ibuka
number one.
from Ohio State. They have ranked number
Oh
2.
yeah, I forgot about that guy.
Um,
I haven't really been watching Ohio State. Though.
Restrepo or whatever his name is, Xavier from Miami.
Okay.
Trey Harris from Ole Miss. Isaiah Bond from Texas. Luther Burden
Bond,
from Missouri.
Yeah.
Ty Felton from
Your mamas.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Maryland, maybe?
And then you got Travis Hunter if you're going to put him at wide receiver.
If they don't, because he's dual, they
They'll
don't have him
they'll
on
have
the
him as
list.
DB.
But I mean, some pretty and size wise. I mean, the biggest wide receiver is that McMillan guy, 6'5".
So that's what I'm saying.
Two
If you
foot.
get in the top 5, you probably take McMillan and just roll with the punches. But that's for later on down the road.
Yeah, he's the biggest wide receiver.
when most of our teams are out of the
Over.
playoffs or don't make them, and,
Though his 40
and then we
time
get in the
is
draft.
average. It's not anything super flashy. The fastest 40 time right now, combine would be different, is the guy from Texas with a 4.28.
Bond, yeah, he
Yeah.
was good.
So, because the McMillan guy, he's listed currently at a 4.5. It's still okay. It's still good for his size, 6'5".
Hey, faster than me.
If they're a wide receiver coming out of college, I would hope to God that they're faster
God,
than
could you imagine a dude that's running like a 6?
Just super productive.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, catches every.
He would be the only
That's
wide
what
receiver in
I'm
NFL
saying. Let's
history.
just say he's big bodied,
I mean,
got
if he's running a
hands for
6
days.
second 40, I'd hope he's a big
But
wide
here's the deal, he's
Rebounds.
but he's a smooth route runner. He's got quick feet. They just don't produce enough speed.
He got little legs.
Yeah.
He's
Like-
big from the waist down.
Like you need to do that on like your NCAA or your Madden. Just create a dude that's
Who's like
just
all
every
upper body, no
who's-
legs.
No, I'm talking is just big body size, great hands, but his speed is just like a fucking 40. And you're just like, let's see what happens. Old
That's what
Algie
most
Crumpler
linebackers
style.
See what?
A
That's
speed 40,
that's
gonna be
Algie
lower than
Crumpler
most
style
linebackers.
that I enjoyed,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, that's he would probably be the first wide receiver in history where the agent was like, "Don't run the 40.
Just
Just sit it out.
Just do it.
You know what you
Wait.
should work on?
Wait.
Work on your reps, like on the bench.
I mean, like, you know what? You let them find out.
Yeah. You let them clock you when you're walking.
You're
out.
you're gonna rip.
That's about what your 40's gonna be.
They all just show up to his pro day. They go, "Hey, do you want to run the 40?" No.
No, I don't wanna do it. You can Marvin Harrison it. I don't even think he touched a 40. No one knew what that man ran.
But I think he was having hamstring issues though, wasn't he?
No, he was having daddy issues saying like you ain't
That's
doing
true.
shit, man.
I thought he
They
had
come
hamstring
into you.
issues.
They come into you. So it can be done to where you don't even have to touch the field. And if you're just able to if you're able to catch everything known to man and you win all the 50-50 balls, let's say you're jumping through the roof too, you just when feet are involving you moving forward fast, it just doesn't exist.
That's true. I
would love to see that.
I mean, that would, yeah. That just reminded me, we were talking, I was talking to somebody today, and we were talking about, I was like, I used to love when we used to play Ultimate Football. And I was like, my team always won because I was always like the captain, and I'm like, and we weren't even built for speed, you would think. I'm like, I literally picked like all the big guys, even the underclassmen, and they're like, why? And I'm like, because I just told all of them to run to the end zone and turn around. Because you're going to have some guys following him because obviously somebody's wide open and will throw it. I was like, and then I would take off running, and the whole defense would be worried about me running, and then they'd leave somebody wide open. So I'm like, and I remember I was like, I think it was Gil, I'm like, look, I'm going to throw it at you hard. Better catch it. I was like, because if not, it's going to hurt. I was like, it's going to hurt your chest. And I'm like, but you better be prepared. And I'm like, and even if I'm not looking at you.
Is Gil Peanut? Gil, right? He's Peanut, right?
I think so.
Yeah, Peanut, yeah.
So I was like, I told him, because I remember I used to do that where I wouldn't look and I'd still hit you. I was like, look, even if I'm not looking at you, be ready. Because I think I did hit somebody in the face once. But it was a short pass, and I didn't mean to throw it that hard, but I was like looking this way. I think I was looking at you. Because you come over and you were like, you threw me off. And I'm like, because I was looking at you and I could see him literally just standing there like this. And I draw back, and I just meant to like throw it lightly. And I threw it at him hard, and it hit him right in the face. And he was like, I wasn't ready. And I'm like, yeah, I was ready.
I wasn't prepared for that, Cotton. Right in his
Well, I also liked it because, well, again, I was freaking 6'3", 300. It's like trying to get a rebound over me.
Yeah.
When you throw a ball up. And if you're a 5'9", 150-pound DB, yeah, I'll run my ass. But in this area, this is where I live.
In the end zone,
this is me.
I'm going to box you out.
Yeah, I'll box you out. And I can catch with one hand. It's very easy to do because I got mitts. I got tiny, dainty hands like you.
Drafted, like, I think I picked you. I think I had Cody. I think I had you. I had Lane. Mm-hmm. I pretty much had our entire offensive line.
Except Dad.
Except Dad, yeah. Because I know I had
the one dude they play it tight in. I'm like, have you watched him like catch a ball? It doesn't really work out.
Yeah, it didn't work out. I'm trying to think. I don't even think we had anybody on our team that was fast except for me.
You picked Edwin. Edwin had a little bit of speed.
Yeah, he had a little bit of speed. He was like my mid option, so I told him to go middle of the field, and I told all the slow people to go.
Yeah.
Because I remember we were playing that coach's game after when we were coaching flag, and Donnie was like, hit me deep, and I was like, all right. And he was wide open. I threw it, hit him right in the hand, he dropped it.
Yeah, it happens sometimes.
He was like, I'm talking wide open. And I lobbed it up, and I'm like,
I think it was like
I was too excited.
To be honest, I was shocked I got that wide open because
so
we all know my move. Like for the first play, I'm like, they're not gonna expect it.
They didn't.
I'm gonna run through them all.
I don't think you were there for
and I'm gonna be wide open. You just chuck it downfield and I'll catch it. And 9 times out of 10, it was there. But this time, I was just like, how?
He was so wide open, and it was a perfect throw too because it hit him right here. And he just dropped it because Coach Jones come over and he's like, hit you in a bad spot.
Yeah.
And he's like,
I caught the rest of them.
He did.
So.
That was the coaches versus the parents game.
Yeah.
And Coach Jones asked us to play because we ref, but that was the one game you weren't there for, I don't think. So
yeah, it was all
because he asked
field.
me and Donnie wanted to play, and we're like, sure.
I was like, hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, we killed that game.
Yeah. After getting yelled at by all the parents every game.
That was just as fun as the old Market Commons days.
Kid's holding. Your kid's not even on the field.
I remember the Market Commons days.
I will say, yeah, when I was a ref, I did have a little bit of favoritism towards one team. But I kept it fair most of the way until a parent talked. And then I was like, you just unwoke the beast, buddy. Here we go.
About JJ's team?
Keep saying
yeah, I was cool with JJ's team.
Keep saying I got a flag.
Team, you mean him?
No, I was cool with the team.
No, their offense was literally the ball
and I was cool with his coach. His coach was, I was cool with his coach. His coach was like that older dude that had like the long hair, and he would talk, but like he would definitely like get in your face if he wanted to. But it was always like for good reason. Like I know if I saw him, I would know him.
That's one player that hopefully going to end up in the NFL.
Yeah.
That we got to witness. We got to witness a couple, but that's one that we watched from really young. And he has some potential. That I think I told you I ran into Coach Jones, and they had him projected depending on how the season goes, being
Day 3.
A 5-round.
Yeah, I was about to say
round.
fifth or
sixth is what they said.
Fifth or sixth, depending on how well he does at the combine. I think if he gets invited to the combine and he performs well with his body size,
Yeah, 'cause
he
he's
could
got a
bump up
decent build.
around. He could bump up
Yeah.
a round or two,
Yeah,
depending.
he's got the build, and they're just not having.
They're not having.
They're having a great season.
They're not
so,
having a great season.
But that's not on him. If he goes out there and puts up a good gauntlet, because last year it helped him. He had a good season last year.
If I'm
Good
him,
gauntlet, I think he'll do good.
I'm just training super hard for the combine.
Yeah, that's what you
Super,
gotta hope
super
for.
hard.
Because the season, unless they finish really strong and he puts up a couple 100-yard games, I don't see it happening.
Yeah, and that's not on him. They
'Cause
just
what's
don't,
their
they
record
just
right
don't
now?
have the
They
quarterback
got, like, what, 2
there.
wins?
Maybe that.
It's not good.
It's not good.
So, I mean, and to be honest, would surprise me if someone like New England picks him up who's already got the Drake May
I mean,
connection.
they're
It'd be
they're
pretty
not
solid.
playing as bad as Florida State, but they're not.
Though
they're
I'm
not
hoping,
doing very well.
JJ, you don't go to New England because I don't want to root against you, but that would be an ideal spot considering they already know his quarterback and they had a good season last year together. They finished the year last year, I think he had 5 touchdowns last year.
Something like that.
So we'll see though. I mean, that would be another success story from our area that we got to witness. But he was a little guy though. I mean,
No,
this is
no
just-
taller than this table.
Yeah, he's just tossing the ball. I remember to ask Coach Jones. He's like, "Yeah, my son plays for that team." We're like, "Which one is he?" And then as soon as we saw him play, it's like,
Never mind.
Never
It's-
mind.
it's
I know which one it is. It's the guy that just took it 80 yards to the house, and
Oh,
the
yeah.
field's only 60 yards. It's like, yeah, they're just pitching the ball, and that was literally their whole offense. Their coach was just like, it was like us when we had, what was his name?
Jimmy.
No, what was the
Jeremiah.
Jeremiah? I was like, it
Jeremiah.
starts with a J. I wanted to say Jameer for some reason, but I'm like, it's not it.
Jeremiah.
Our whole offense was literally just, bro, you run this way or run that way.
All right, here's the deal. Far side's to the right, you run to the right. And then once all those people form over the right, you're going to reverse field and go to the left.
And that was one player, if he would have stuck with football, I think he could have made it potentially in the NFL. Because the last time we ran into him, he got taller. Remember we ran into him on the basketball court.
That's what happens when you're a fucking child.
But I mean, he had that build where he looked like he was going to be built for football. And he was easy to coach. And we ran into him playing basketball. I didn't recognize him at first.
Yeah, the fro
Yeah, he was like,
flowed out.
and then I saw him up close and I'm like, oh, look at you, Jeremiah. You know, you think you take your coaches on to basketball now? I mean, we won. But they won like games 2 and 3.
God, I
It's like,
couldn't
I
even.
was like, we got one good game in
I
this.
couldn't even imagine
We're like 20 years older than
playing
you.
playing ball again. I
Yeah.
want to. I want to put them on.
Put what on?
Put the old basketball shoes on.
I was like, you wear basketball shoes, don't you?
No, I'm wearing fucking Hey Dudes right now.
They're so comfy.
Put one on. I was like, you're talking
Dude,
about pads.
I would have to find where my basketball shoes are, man. I busted through them and they're like work shoes now.
I mean, we got to hit up the boys' house for some basketball.
We'll see.
Been a while
I
since
feel
Cody's
like
played.
I feel like we do something stupid. I feel like we'd be like, yeah, we can run like 3 or 4 games. Let's go.
To be fair, it wasn't as long as you can.
Here's the
just
deal.
sore for
No,
4
here's the
days.
deal. In the moment, I could go and play basketball 3-4 hours.
Sure.
But the next 2 days,
The next 2 days.
I give you, if you're playing 3-4 hours,
awful.
I'm giving you more than 2.
The
days.
don't
next-
even. No, my
next 3
legs
days
start
will
like the
be
first day. It's like I can't get out of bed.
It's like we're at that age where it's like,
Like
yeah, we can go that.
someone roll me.
That adrenaline hits us. We're like, oh man, we've been playing for 2-3 hours. I feel great. And then we get home. It's not even the next day. You get home and you sit down, you start to relax, and you're like, you go to get up off the couch, and you're like, honey, can you grab me a water? I can't move.
Oh, it's not that. It's literally when
And the cramps in
It's
the
like
middle of
when
the night
I
start
get
setting.
up, and I can just feel the blood rush down through my legs, and I'm just like.
She's not good.
I remember one time I had to crawl to whenever I wanted to get something.
I think I do remember. There was
and
that day we played. We probably played basketball for like 5 or 6 hours.
Yeah, and
And
I
it
was
was like middle of summer.
I was living upstairs, so I had to crawl
Yeah.
up my stairs, and then crawl to bed. and my bed set pretty high, and I was just like, I don't know if I can reach it. It's so far. Why did you?
I do remember that. It was like middle of summer.
I had
It
to
was like-
muster up all my strength.
It was
just
that day
to
where like
fall.
we played a bunch of games, but Donnie would skip, like he'd play one game and then skip like 2. And then he'd be like, I'm good. And he'd come back in for a game, and then he'd be like, we'd play a solid game that would last like 20, 30 minutes, and then he'd be like, I need a
I put my heart into it.
Yeah,
man.
and
It's
then
like, I
he'd
gotta
sit
take a minute.
another 2 games out, and I'm like pouring sweat, and I'm like, man, I'm not built
Oh,
for
like
this
I
anymore.
wasn't pouring sweat?
Oh, no. I mean, to be fair, you're probably pouring sweat right now.
No, I'm good right now. I mean,
But
nice
like,
air conditioning.
yeah, we're just not built for that. Like, I can give you a nice, you know, like we could probably play a good fundamental basketball game, but I'm not running up and down the court and giving you like power moves and laying it up or blowing up a block.
To be honest, I still will because in my mind it's like
In
my mind
Still
and
got
my knees well enough. They're just like, dude, you can still pull off hooks. Like I can still drive the lane and I'll do my little loop. And sometimes I don't know.
You know what
know my
literally
own
just popped in
strength.
my head when he said that? The Tom Segura falling and breaking his leg.
No, I gotta make
make
sure I got grips. I don't even know about playing in an actual gym unless I would have to grab my Jordans, like my Pittsburgh Jordans that aren't meant for basketball, but that's what because they got grip.
Yeah, because if you play on like asphalt, you can wear any shoe and you're gonna have grip.
Yeah.
I would hope.
You'll have grip, but your ankle's gonna get fucked.
Yeah, that'd be rough. We gotta get a game going.
Yeah.
It's been a hot minute.
on a court though.
Yeah.
I may fall, and
I mean,
and I don't want to fall.
I say let's go to the Green Tops, man. They still run games out there. I'm sure we know a few. Be waiting for 6 hours.
Yeah, please.
See, I'm down for playing basketball, but I ain't going out there at 10, 11 o'clock at night. That's my bedtime.
No,
Nah, I'll go out there.
I've been
I'm
asleep.
up.
I've been asleep for an hour.
Yeah, exactly.